Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey, Buzz Buzz babies, it's Monday. It's your boy Blake, and I have a delightfully spooky, tasty treat for you all tonight. It was funny. I was actually talking to my mom about this. I was like, last year I begged this. I mean, it was loose begging. I was really intent on having this guest be my Halloween special last year, and I was like, oh, when it got set up, like I was so stoked. And then this year, he emails me and he's like, I got a new book on Kickstarter. And I was like, wow, the tables have turned. Anyways, I'm basically just famous hot shit all over the place. Is long story short. I'm just kidding. My guest is Mr. Famous hot shit all over the place. I've got Cullen Bunn in the house. What is up, dude? Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. This may be the first time I've been referred to as a tasty treat. And I'm not sure I like it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm fair. I was referring to your works.
All right, fair enough.
As the tasty treat. The cream candy in the Halloween bag. I guess if we want to stick to the spooky season. But yeah, I'm so excited, man. You're one of the few guests that like I met you at Planet Comic-Con. So you're one of the few guests that I've like interviewed and actually got to like meet in person. And you seemed excited to like meet me, and you were very nice. And when I handed you a giant stack of Vault nudie covers for Last Book You'll Ever Read, you signed every single one of them for me and didn't roll your eyes at me. So.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. That's how I do.
But it was so cool. It was so cool to meet you, and I'm so stoked to have you back on. And like, what a great week to have you back on. October, we're in the first week of October. It's cooling down in Missouri. It's not as that sweltering heat's bleeding away. The fall's rolling in, spooky season's rolling in. And you've got some cool stuff we're going to talk about tonight. You've had as we mentioned in the green room, you've had a busy couple weeks in comics and Kickstarters and stuff.
I'm trying.
How you feeling about like how you feeling about your Kickstarter? Like, is you feeling good about how it started? Or
oh yeah, I'm feeling good about it. Look, it's one of those things. I got a bunch of messages from people say, congratulations on the strong start, and I'm very pleased with where we are. Mm-hmm. I always want them to do better. I always want a little more attention on the Kickstarters, but no, I can't complain. I'm very happy with the way it started out. I'm very confident in the Kickstarter, overall. I just did, like I said, I'm hoping, I obviously I want more people to put their eyes on the project and to check it out.
It's still early. You got 24 days left.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Crooked Hills, and we'll bring up the page here shortly. But a lot of you know Cullen in the comic book realm, and this is an all ages novel, and it really does sing to the all ages form factor. Because I won't lie, I got to read this over the weekend, and it was a wonderful experience. Like I'm 38. I'm a 38-year-old guy, right? But it had those following these young kids around. It had a nice like Stranger Things kind of vibe to it, right? Except like in the Stranger Things in Missouri, up in the Ozarks, right? And right. It's cool too because I had family there, right? And we go to the lake house vacations there and stuff like that. And so it was very very nostalgic and it was cool to have our home represented, right? I thought that was cool that Missouri and the Ozarks were such a key feature in this book.
Well, yeah, I mean Crooked Hills comes from, there are pieces of all the places I've lived, in all the countrified places I've lived in Crooked Hills. But
Okay.
more than anything, Crooked Hills comes from when I moved to the Missouri Ozarks. There's a lot of elements of that town in Crooked Hills.
Okay. Yeah, I loved so basically like I fell in love with the cast. Like Charlie's awesome. Like, Charlie and Alex are these two brothers. And the it has a tumultuous start, right? There's a death in the family. They go a summer vacation, to kind of get away from everything and maybe hit like a reset button and be around loved ones and try to escape from the trauma. But as we all know, like you can't really escape trauma, right? It follows you around in one way or another. And I love how the adventure that unravels in Crooked Hills is very much like, other terrors, right, begin to follow these young boys around. And then and then like with Lisa, like it just I love the cast. The cast was so strong, so fun to read. And I was telling Cullen in the green room, everybody, I was like, I haven't read a novel in a hot minute, right? I'm comics press. I'm always reading comics, and it's life now. It's the day job now. And so I'm always like proofreading, drafting, getting stuff ready, getting press releases ready. I don't get a lot of time for prose. And I've been a fan of yours for a long time, Cullen. This is my first engagement with you as a prose writer.
Yeah.
And it's fucking good. You're a good writer, man. Like I've always thought you were a good writer, but with your sentence structure, and it's like you know when to switch it up, and it's very like the way you control tension and the way the narrative flows and the character depth and everything going on. It's a very very strong novel. And I've like anybody can read this no matter what age you are.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and most people don't realize, long before I was doing comics, I was writing, novels and short stories. That's what I was doing because I knew how to. That's how I knew how to submit things. I knew that comics publishers. All I knew about comics publishers is that they were going to reject me immediately without reading anything. So I at least knew how to work in prose and how to approach that. So long before I broke into comics, I was writing short stories, and Crooked Hills was a novel I was writing at that time, and I was always still trying to do. I always had comics in my mind, and I always wanted to tell comic stories. It was sort of elusive to me for a long time.
Okay. All right. We got some people in the chat wanting to say hi. We got Sons of Mjolnir. Let the coffee and sody pops flow. I'm drinking a Pepsi Zero. So that's
yes, we got soda here. We're good.
Sons of Mjolnir has a great YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. They also do great interviews. David is on. Mad Caves David is on, is in the house. What's up, baby? Always happy to have you. Ronan, what's up, man? Good morning to you. He lives across the world, so it's weird. Gary Proudlet, man, like I love I feel so special when like comic creators like come into my chat all the time. Like I'm just like, it feels cool. Like I'm a scene kid. I'm in it now. The Sons of Mjolnir is calling it the Bunn apocalypse. I like that. It's
I'll take it.
He's no stranger to the end times, right? And and we got some other books I'm excited to talk about tonight too. None of which are necessarily happy, but will make you have a happier spooky season.
That's right. Well, Crooked Hills is pretty fun. It's got
fun. Yeah.
It's a horror novel, and I didn't try to really dial back the horror elements, even though it's an all ages book. But it's also it's a fun book. I think there's a lot of adventure. You mentioned nostalgia, which is what most of the adults who read it, they'll come back and say, "Oh, it made me feel like we all had those weird adventures when we were kids. Whether you lived in the country, the city, wherever, I guarantee you got up to some nonsense." And this book kind of celebrates that nonsense that you got up, the kind of nonsense you would get up to when you were a kid.
Definitely. And I definitely had, like I said, like, my family, some of us had like, not my family, but like mom's like sister and some of them like had lake houses that we would go to and you know, like go out on the lake and boats and stuff. And I definitely remember those, like, you know, kind of like roaming through the woods with, you know, with like the local kids, like showing me the city that, you know, like, cause I was a suburb kid, not really a city kid, but, you know, showing me around and like, you know, finding a copperhead snake by Truman Lake and like being all scared of it and shooting BB guns and stuff. Like I never went on like a ghost hunt through the woods though. Like these kids did, unfortunately, because that the adventure they have and how it unravels and the people they meet and come across and the town and it's so fun, guys. You really got to check, and we'll bring up the Kickstarter page shortly, but like Crooked Hills is a really, really good novel, and I very much encourage people to check it out. And if you like Cullen's works, it's a no-brainer to back it. Just because, I mean, he's done crowdfunding campaigns before. He knows how to fulfill, he knows how to play the game, so it's a safe bet. We got Jared Cooper saying you are a tasty treat. Oh, now you've got now you got everybody calling him a tasty treat.
Listen, I mean, I'm gonna put it on my business cards, but I don't, you know, we can.
He's not gonna like it. He's not gonna like it though. And then we got my co-host from Blake and Cole Read a Book. Cole's in here with his look at that fancy new logo for Cole's disc journey for his disc golf channel. I'm liking it. I'm pretty sure it'll be on a t-shirt and stuff soon. You guys will be able to buy. But anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in live. And Cole, by the way, thank you for posting a link to the project in the chat, so you guys can click that link, go check out the campaign. This isn't you've crowdfunded stuff before, and a lot of your crowdfunding endeavors are prose. Like was it last year or the year before you did a short story compilation, right? Not long ago?
So Crooked Hills is part of the Outer Shadows imprint with Outland Entertainment. It's the third book in the under the imprint. Last year we did well, actually, it was this year. My time's earlier this year. We did a Kickstarter for our first two books, and that was there was an anthology that I edited called Swords in the Shadows, which is sort of a swords and sorcery and horror anthology. And then there is a novella that I wrote called Rays that we did as our second book. And both of those are definitely, I mean, they're horror focused, and they're definitely not all ages. They are adults only books. And then this is our third book. We have, and then after we do this one, we've already got plans. I've got all the stories in place for the next anthology. Well, almost all the stories in place for the next anthology that I'm going to be doing. With the Outer Shadows imprint. And yet most of the stuff we've done with Outer Shadows so far has been prose. Although, you know, the imprint is, you know, I could be putting comics, role-playing games, board games, it's Outland Entertainment does everything. They're very multimedia, multi-platform. So the Outer Shadows imprint can do many different things. Nice. I do have, you know, there are several more novellas in the pipeline. There's another Crooked Hills book coming down the river. So there's a lot of different projects that we'll be doing in the future. Probably mostly prose right now, although it's open. It could be almost anything.
That's awesome. Is it hard for you to kind of switch the gears? Like, you know, some of the other comics that we may talk about tonight and people familiar with your work, like, I just like, let's say Regression, right? Regression is like terrifying and creepy and very intense. And like, and even though there are definite, like really creepy moments in Crooked Hills and it's very much intense and you exercise tension well, but there's that youthful adventureness and a softness kind of to the narrative, right? Is it hard for you to switch those gears and go from like hardcore horror Cullen Bunn as opposed to like all ages Cullen Bunn, or is that pretty easy for you?
You know, I don't think it's difficult to switch with that for me. And it's you know, I kind of put myself in the mindset of the tone of whatever the project is. And once I get in that mindset, it's usually not that difficult for me to switch to that. And once I get in that mindset, I'm pretty good. Even if I were bouncing back and forth between projects, I think I'd be okay switching gears, because I really, for everything I do, the tone of the series is like right there. It's the first thing I think about every time I sit down to work on something.
Okay.
This is the tone of what I'm working on, and that kind of informs a lot of the decisions I make, and it just makes it easier for me to shift, I guess. It's almost like taking a breath before you get started. You just, all right, this is Crooked Hills, and this is,
Okay.
this is what the feel of that world is. Although, yeah, and you switch to Regression, it's a completely different. Regression is a book I want to traumatize people when they read. Crooked Hills is a book I don't want to traumatize people.
Yeah, you and your artist both in regret. Like some of those pages in Regression, like with the insects, I was like, oh man, that was one of the earlier things I read from you, I think, like before I was super familiar with you and your writing. Like I stumbled across that on
it's an interesting book. I mean, and it's a book I'm very proud of. And I'm sure we'll talk about it. I mean, that's one that's coming out this month in a deluxe hardcover for the first time. The entire series is collected. Yeah, from Image, and the entire series is coming out like in the next week or two, in a big fat hardcover of the whole thing.
Shit. I just ordered $100 shoes for my sister's wedding. I should have got the cheap ones.
You're gonna have to send those back, and you're gonna have to just carry a copy of Regression and wear your cheap shoes. I'm sorry, that has to happen.
No, that's so cool. Well, lucky for the audience too. Like keep a lookout for that, because I'm going to be snagging that, which means I guess I'll have to give away those 3 volumes and do a little spooky giveaway.
Yeah, it's a really pretty edition too. I don't have it within arm's reach. I'd show it off, but it's a very pretty edition, and it's going to look good on the shelf.
Image hardcovers are one of my favorite things ever. They really are. They always nail it. They always go all out. They look good. They got, a couple little bit of extra goodies in them, but like, they're bound nice. They read nice. The page weight is always like, oh, it's so good. Like I love their hardcovers so much.
Yeah, it's a great looking book, and I'm excited because it's one of those series that, a lot of people read, but a lot of people didn't, There's a lot of newer readers that haven't picked something like that up, and there are a lot of people who didn't read it when it first came out. So it's a great opportunity to get it again.
Very cool. That's exciting. Well, awesome. So, man, you're on the show for 18 minutes, costing me money, Cullen.
Hey, that's what I do, man.
Yeah, like I came to sell books. We're gonna sell books. Speaking of selling books, I guess that's a good segue. We'll bring up the Kickstarter page here. So you got a $6,500 goal here, 128 backers, 24 days left. This went live just a couple days ago. It hasn't been live very long.
Not even a week. Yeah.
Nice. I love this cover. I love the fetch as it's called. I don't know if that's spoiling it, but
no, I don't think he's right there on the cover. You can spoil that the fetch is in it. Yeah.
I'd never heard of that. I'd never heard that term before. Like that was very endearing. And also like the idea of like a witch dog, right? Or it's a witch's dog, but like it's this witchy dog and very it's very spooky. It howls and
the fetch is kind of he's derived from a number of old legends like Snarly Yow, which is this sort of this black dog that would follow you around when death was coming, and things like that, and I've actually written short stories about fetches. It's something about that idea that just that of these these sort of hellhound creatures that has always stuck with me. It could be a throwback to the old days of reading Sherlock Holmes, the Hound of the Baskervilles or something.
Yeah.
I've always been a little and also it comes from when I lived in the Ozarks, in the town that inspired Crooked Hills. There was a pack of wild dogs that I stumbled upon one day, and they were like one evening I was out walking, and this pack of wild dogs comes roaming out of the woods, and it was pretty It was pretty intense for a few minutes there.
Yeah, that would freak me out. I remember, so we had like I've had a couple neighbors that like my sister's like one of her first best friends, they had English Mastiffs. And so like one day my mom's getting ready to take my sister and I to school, and we walk outside and there's like these 260-pound dogs just like roaming in the front yard. And I'd never seen an animal that big, like in a neighborhood, like outside of a zoo or something. Right. And so like
Right.
my mom like freaked out and like shoved us back in the house and was like screaming for my dad. She's like, Jim, what do we do? I don't know what to do. They end up being like the nicest dogs like ever.
Right.
And then we ended up like they bred one of them and we got one of the puppies. So I've actually had a couple and like really, really cool dogs. But yeah, like when you just see that like one morning and you've never seen anything like that, you're like, oh no. And then one time we had a neighbor with a Doberman, and the Doberman ended up being real nice too. But like one day, this fairly large, like pointy eared Doberman was just gunning at me, running at me, and like my life flashed before my eyes. I was like, "Oh, this dog's about to rip my throat out," and it jumped on me, but then it licked my face, right? But it was like slow motion. I was like, "Oh, this is it." And but a pack, like a pack in the woods, like that'd be something else. And I remember the way you describe this dog, like the ticks hanging off it and the mangy fur and the eyes, like the dog has these different kind of eyes that like really bothers these kids, and like they have nightmares about it and stuff. And it's just like very, very so visual, right? Your writing really produces strong imagery.
Well, I appreciate
And
that.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, man.
I wanted the reader to be a little afraid of this dog. So I had to sink my teeth into
Mission accomplished.
his growiness, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, we got you a backer. Jared says he backed
Oh,
it.
Jared, thank you.
That is
Thank you.
awesome. But yeah, so I love the cover, and then we see the kids here. We got Lisa, we got Charlie, and we got Alex. That's our main cast. These are these three kids that end up coming together. And I guarantee you, folks, if you back this book and you get it and you read it, like the only thing you're going to be left wanting is more adventures with these three kids. I mean, like they vibe so well. They all have really great personalities. I love the younger brother, older brother mechanic that you got going on. And then well, I guess I'm missing Marty. So wait, is it
That's
is
Marty.
it
Yeah, that's
or
Marty on the cover. Marty
oh,
on the cover.
you left Alex out. Oh my
Well,
god.
Alex, Alex. There's a reason Alex isn't on that cover right there. But that I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Okay.
spoil.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't
You'll
want to
find
spoil
out.
everything. But
You'll
yeah,
find out where Alex is.
yeah, that's the mischievous Marty there on the cover with him. But
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah, these kids are a little bungling, and they're definitely in way over their heads. They're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, and that's what I think is sort of fun about it. I like to feel like if we were, if you as an adult, if I as an adult, and a couple of my buddies encountered some supernatural forces, I feel like we'd all bungle quite a bit. I think we'd all become sort of these kids in a way. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't just the slightest hint of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein in this, or or Monster Squad. And the thing that those movies had was, even though the characters, the leads were kind of bungling and funny and they get into humorous situations, the monsters were never played for jokes. And that's one of the things I think in horror comedy, and especially in comics, I see it all the time. And it always frustrates me. Too often people play the monster or the horror for a joke. And that's not where the humor needs to come from. The humor comes from us. We're the idiots. We can, the horror elements should still be horror elements, I think.
I like that. Real quick, I'm gonna read the synopsis in my movie trailer voice.
Sure.
People like
Oh
when I
boy,
do
I want to
this.
hear this.
All right. Crooked Hills is the most haunted town in America. It's just the news that Charlie needs to salvage his forced vacation to the middle of nowhere. If he's got to take a family trip to visit relatives, at least he'll see some ghosts. But the hauntings in Crooked Hills aren't the friendly kind. And soon Charlie, his brother Alex, who's not on the cover, poor Alex, his cousin Marty, and their new friend Lisa are surrounded by dangers, hellhounds, dead witches, strange dreams, and local bullies. Crooked Hills is far more exciting than Charlie expected, but it's a lot scarier too. For young fans of Stranger Things and Paper Girls, this brand new edition of Bunn's middle grade series Kickstarter launches readers into an earlier era of unsupervised adventures, childhood independence, and magical shenanigans. Get ready to uncover the first mystery of Crooked Hills. I mean,
that's a pretty good voice. I don't know if it's a movie trailer voice. It's almost monster truck. Like you could have added
Sunday.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, I love it. I love Stranger Things and Paper Girls too. Like I remember reading the Kickstarter page and I was like, sold. Like those are two of my favorite things ever.
I used to
very much the vibes.
I used to describe it as the Goonies meets the Blair Witch.
Oh, that's good too.
And yeah, because everybody loves the Goonies, right?
Yeah. Oh man, that's good. And then so yeah, we got great characters. It's a nice full length novel. I think the digital PDF I read was like 260 pages. And I said, I burned through them. I was Josh and Cullen because I was like, man, I could not. I was like, man, you send me this 260 page novel. Like, here, read this over the weekend. I was like, oh shit. And but it was such an easy read. And it got chilly in Kansas City a couple nights. So I did the deal. Like I threw the comforter over my head and had the tablet under the covers and had like a impromptu like blanket fort reading this. And
that's a good way to read it. I like it.
Yeah, I had a blast. I really did have a blast with it. And like I said, my first venture with your prose, and I was left very, very impressed and just wanting more. Got some good press here from different sites. I wasn't the only one who loved it. And then if you can hop on the Kickstarter page and you can read a little excerpt of it, see if it's your vibe or not, which it should be. I question what kind of vibe you have. If it's not, if you like horror, I feel like it's easy. This is easy. If you liked horror and you were ever young, which I would assume is a lot of people who watch my show. Like we had to start somewhere. And then so we got some cool stretch goals that I was interested in. So we got the 7,500 is the big one. So you're going to add some illustrations to it. Which I think would be cool.
Yeah, it's something the publisher's really excited about. He really wants those illustrations in the chapter heading. So
nice.
Yeah.
And then at 8,500 you get some teasers from the next novel, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm working on that, as we speak. I've been in the middle of writing the second one. So and it's been a lot of fun to revisit this world. But yeah, I'm hoping I get to share those chapters with folks for sure.
I mean, I know you probably can't say too much, but like in regards to like time frame, are the new adventures going to take place fairly?
Oh yeah. They take place like within a few months of the first one.
Nice.
I have sort of a master plan for Crooked Hills that spans 6 or 7 books of different adventures and things like that. So I'm excited to get back to it.
Nice. So yeah, everybody get to Kickstarter and start backing so we can unlock some stretch goals and so we can make sure that Cullen comes back to the Ozarks and comes back to Crooked Hills to tell some absolutely wonderful stories that are just begging to be told. I feel like these kids are yearning for more adventures. You need it in your life. And then there's I like this too. I like the reading guide that you're making for schools and teachers to help like promote how to teach this in classes. I think that's that's super cool, and it's pretty smart too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's an interesting look. I did this. I've done it for other projects, but yeah, it's there are things in the book. Obviously, there are things we can. It just gives a teacher who wants to use Crooked Hills in the classroom is able to talk about the things that they encounter and what's realistic and what's not. Are there tarantulas in Missouri? That seems to be one that a few people have questioned or have raised an eyebrow at.
yes, wolf spiders are real and they get fucking huge. Like, they're not
Well,
poisonous, they're not mean either, but they get big and
well,
furry.
what most people don't really realize is, we have Texas brown tarantulas in Missouri,
Oh, I didn't
and
even know that.
and in the fall they migrate by the thousands through certain areas of the state,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and yeah, scorpions, and again, these are all things I didn't know until I moved to Missouri, and in some ways found out the hard way, and and yeah, but yeah, the reading guide just helps. I think it's fun to be able to talk about. What do you think what would you have done if you were in this situation? It gets the classroom talking. It gets
Yeah,
kids talking about the project, and it is. My intent was it was for libraries and for classrooms, but it also works for parents who are reading the book with their kids. It gives them something to talk about.
cool. Yeah, and I mean, anything that reminds kids that like reading is cool and not
Right.
lame, and that, because there's nothing more heartbreaking than like so many people don't read anymore, and it's such a bummer. And yeah, and people think, like, because with especially like in our circles and comic book circles, and it's like, yeah, we all read, but when you start talking to like other people that aren't really into like reading is very rare. Like, if you're not reading an article on your phone, and that
Right.
article better be short because people aren't going to give it much time, and so just like so many people don't read anymore, and it's a
Yeah.
bummer. But anything that promotes that in the youth and gets them excited about it, and excited for the genre too. Like, I still remember like reading my first Goosebump books and reading my first like scary stories to tell in the dark and stuff like that as
That's
a
a big
kid, and
one.
that
Yeah.
that had a long lasting impression on me. That yeah, and I grew up in love with the genre, and in love with being scared, and that fascination of like you know monsters, and what goes, those the noises at night, and like nightmares and everything. And it's just like that stuck with me, and so yeah, like I would love for more kids to experience that, and have like schools and teachers and parents that encourage that exploration into the genre and
Yeah.
into these various narratives. So yeah,
Yeah.
very very cool you're doing that.
Kids love to be scared. Kids love sort of that sense of adventure and fun. I think this is a book that even sort of reluctant readers can get behind once they and I tried to structure it in such a way that every chapter kind of, I mean, at the end of every chapter, I kind of cliffhanger it a little bit to
Yeah,
try to encourage, go forward, get to the next one. Let's move it along.
yeah, it's hard. It's because the chapters are fairly quick usually, like
Yeah,
you like 10-12 pages max, right? But then like
yeah,
it's very much where like it's getting late and you're like, all right, one more. And then you finish that and you're like, nope, like I'm reading one more. Nope, reading one more. Oh, reading one more. And then all of a sudden you're like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I got shit to do in the morning. But no, it definitely compels you. It's very hard to put down. And then some other cool stuff like stickers, bookmarks, backer only Q&A. And then at 15K, here's another big one. Short story PDF. All backers will receive an exclusive PDF of New Cricket Hills story. That's something I would definitely like to see. So get out there, everybody. The one thing I didn't see, Cullen, is this going to be a hardcover, soft cover?
it's
What?
soft cover. It's soft cover.
Okay.
Look, in the future, maybe we'll release a hardcover edition, but there's no plans for that. So yeah, this is a soft cover, sort of trade paperback size soft cover.
Okay. Well, hey, they all read the same. It's cool.
That's
It's
right.
cool. But yeah, it's a very cool campaign, and I mean, you know what? This is the first word that popped into my head. Oddly enough, it's a lovely story. It really is.
Well,
Like, I had so much fun, and I honestly, man, I can't even tell you the last prose I read. Like, I was prose rusty, and it reminded me that like I need to read more of it. Like I get caught, like I said, like I get caught up in the press and the comics and that life, but You know, these things, you know, when you get outside of your typical genre and your typical medium, especially all you out there, like if you review stuff, if you, or if you're a writer too, or a creator, like it helps you in other senses. Like if, you know,
Oh, yeah.
if you're trying to write a comic script and you get hung up, read a novel, right? Or if you're writing if you're stuck on a draft of a novel or short story, try reading a comic, watch a movie, you know, kind of like switch things up sometimes, and just kind of like stay light on your feet, keep bouncing around, and it helps your brain bounce around too. Kind of, it's good to, it's good to mix it
Oh
up.
yeah,
It makes you a
it
better reader.
definitely. That's one of the things I like best about moving from different mediums. You know, from comic scripts to prose to like film scripts. It helps. You know, it's like you said. It helps break those log jams up. It's
Yeah.
just shifting around a little bit.
Now you said earlier, you mentioned how before you got into comics, you were doing more prose, short stories, and novels and novellas and stuff. Like, do you think that helped you break into the comic scene at all? Like having previous publications out there, maybe? No.
No, I don't think the prose stuff helped break into comics. Um, I loved writing, and I still do. I love writing prose. I edited a magazine of prose, stories for, several years. I edited magazines and stuff like that. Um, but I can't think of a single situation where one of my, like a comic publisher or comic editor thought that was, like they recognized that was something I used to do
Oh,
or
okay.
ever done. Um, and that's fine. I mean, that's not a complaint. I don't know that the two really played against each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think it's probably more likely now that having written comics and, kind of building a bit of a fan base in comics would probably help me sell more prose if I wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know why a lot of people in comics go to Kickstarter. To, you know, because as we mentioned in the green room, like it's expensive to make comics, to pay for art, pay for coloring, pay for lettering, pay for printing and all that.
Yeah.
Is that why take the pros to Kickstarter? Why not? I mean, I don't even know if you do. I mean, do you have an agent? I don't.
I
I
do.
would kind of. I would.
Yeah.
I was imagining you would. So like, why take this to Kickstarter and not a traditional, like, to your agent to hit up publishers? And what made you take that path?
Well, with this one in particular, and really it's, I really value what Outland Entertainment is doing. I've become really good friends with the folks who run Outland. I feel like I was just in Kansas City this past week, and I had a meeting with them, and I told them, I was like, listen, I am Team Outland all the way. Now, that doesn't mean I'm taking everything to Outland. There's no single publisher who can keep up with the stuff I'm doing right now.
Wow.
But I want to continue doing books with Outland because I really like what they're doing. I like their attitude. I like the approach. And Outland's model is to use Kickstarter. It's not even as much we need the money to fund the book, especially with something like a prose project.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do. I mean, even prose projects are expensive to produce. Everything is these days. But they use Kickstarter as a pre-order model. This is their pre-order. We know how many people are going to be, we know who's interested in the book. We get our orders right away. We can fund printing of the first print run of the book. We can fund and have that available. With some projects like anthologies, those are really expensive to produce if you are actually going to be paying the creators a decent rate to write a story, which Outland does. So for those, we need the money to, pay creators and make sure everybody is treated fairly and we get the books out and get them out there on the shelves. But yeah, it's just Outland's approach is to use Kickstarter as a pre-order generator. And yeah, like I said, we're not it's not a big publishing house, and sometimes money can get tight on these projects. But
oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely.
So anything helps if we can, if when Crooked Hills funds, the readers can, be sure that they're going to get their books, but also it helps us fund it to get it into bookstores and everything else. It can fund the first print run completely.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Shout out to J. Michael Miller. Thanks for tuning in, baby. Always happy to have you. And then we got, let's see, Mark Tweedale
Hey,
says
Mark.
he likes the Sixth Sense has comics, but also the pro short stories. Yeah, I like when those mediums mix. Like that one weirdo did it a while back. It was Alan Moore with that Watchmen book people talk about sometimes. But I like it when prose and comics mix. I think it's fun.
It's and what Mark's referencing is I've written so I did the Six Gun as a comic for for years and years, over 60 issues, 2,000 something pages of comic.
Yeah,
and a lot. But I also during that time I wrote a number of short stories about the Six Gun characters. I'm currently writing a new Six Gun short story that's going to be based on the Kickstarter that Oni ran a little bit, Oni Press ran a few months back for the re-release of the Six Gun in hardcover. I'll tell you this, that Six Gun short story I'm writing right now is probably the hardest thing I've written in a long time. It's so there, it's not that it's shifting gears like you were talking about earlier, but there's something about getting into this Six Gun short story that I'm working on. I know the story. I know where it goes. It is a beast to write for some reason. And I think it's maybe, I have such high hopes for this story that it's almost too much pressure. So, I mean, I'm working on it, but man, it's one that, sometimes things flow more easily than others. This one is just not, because I'm so in my own head to make the story a winner.
But that's sometimes when you struggle like that too, like when you finally break it, that's like a really good feeling too, right? When you're when they fight you a little bit, and then you got to fight against them, and then sometimes it takes you to a new place, like a new narrative place that you didn't expect to go. But that feeling of like when you do finally get it figured out, you break that story, you break that plot, you figure out how A goes to B goes to C. It's a nice it's a nice feeling. Well, that's exciting. Because the Six Gun is very cool, and I remember that recent hardcover campaign. I still don't understand how this happened. When quarantine first started, Matt Kent sold the whole trade paperback set of the Six Gun through his website with a sketch. Like he had a lot of them on. Yeah. And so like I got the whole trade paperback set for like $70 shipped with a Matt Kent sketch. And he doesn't even work on the book really, does he? Like,
the secret of that is though, Matt Kent and Brian Hurt share studio space.
Oh,
so they were, they're right there together all the time. They have a beautiful, beautiful studio that they share.
Okay. That makes a little bit, because I thought that was so weird, because I was like, I thought maybe he did maybe he drew a couple issues of it or something, but yeah. No. But anyway, yeah. So
Matt's always been a huge supporter of the book. He's always, the day I went full time as a comic book writer, Matt Kent and Brian Hurt took me out to a Mexican restaurant. We had margaritas all day, and I was like,
nice.
Is this what writing comic books full time is like? Because I need to be working. And so.
Yeah, that sounds, I want that job. And
right.
I get to say I'm a comic book writer. Now, oddly enough, my first comic book gig is in the same book you're in. I got a short in the Cthulhu Invades Neverland anthology. And
those are super fun.
Yeah, I got Travis gave me 2 pages, and writing a 2-page story in a 2-page comic book story where like something has to happen and there has to be like an emotional result and somewhat of an arc, and you only have like 2 pages. It was hard. I was sweating.
He didn't give you those pages. You earn those pages.
Maybe.
Don't let people tell you somebody gave you something. That's what I have a well, my friends know this because look, I'm a bit of a jerk most of the time, but I have sort of this aversion when people say, they gave you X-Men to write, huh? No, they didn't give me anything. I earned that. Nobody gave me a thing.
That's
So
fair.
I always I have a little bit of that. So don't let anybody tell you they gave it to you. You earned it. Somehow
I
you earned those 2 pages.
somehow through nefarious means. No,
That
it
might
was.
hey, it might be skullduggery that got you there. That's not my business. I'm saying you earned them.
Speaking of Marvel and X-Men, you found yourself back at the House of Ideas not that long ago with you with the death of the Venomverse, which
For
I
a
think
little bit. Yeah,
the
for a
trade
little bit.
the trade comes out fairly soon, or
Does it?
just came
Oh, I
out.
didn't know that. Okay. Good.
Maybe I
It
thought it
probably
did.
does. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so I came back and wrote, the 5-issue Death of the Venomverse story, and I did a 10-page Deadpool story that's coming out sometime soon in
Oh, cool.
one of these Deadpool collections. Uh, yeah, they're fun projects.
They didn't have to like twist. Like some people, I've never heard you like badmouth a publisher, but like or anything like that. But I mean, there are a handful of people that like they'll be like never, never again, big two, which is because it's weird because so many people like that's like it's a lot of people's end game, right? Like oh yeah, I'll write indie comics, I'll do whatever, but like I got to be at Marvel, I got to be at DC, and some people get there and it's not the it's not the wonderful place that they thought it was.
Look, I don't hold anybody's end game against them. For some people, that is the be all end all is to write for Marvel and DC, and that's fine. If that's what they're after. Go for it and go for it with all you got. And look, I love writing those characters. I mean, I love writing. Yeah, I saw someone today recently on Twitter was lambasting an old X-Men run, saying Cullen Bunn must have really hated the X-Men for this. And they're talking about stuff that I didn't even write, that some other creator did, that I just had to answer for. And I'm like, no, I don't. I mean, I love those characters. I wouldn't have written what I wrote, if I didn't love them. But what you're asking me for is that I treat your favorite character, as sweetly as possible. And I don't even treat my favorite characters as sweetly as possible. My favorite characters suffer, and they suffer horribly, and they do stupid things, and they make mistakes, and that's all fine. But I love writing Marvel characters. I love writing DC characters. At some point, though, things change, and the publishing mandates change, and editorial staffs change, and it's a lot of work to chase that kind of work.
Yeah.
And I can spend my days chasing after Marvel and DC, or I can spend my days writing stories. And at this point, I really just want to write stories. And yeah, if make no mistake, DC calls me tomorrow and says, let's revive Sinestro. I'm there 1000%. If they, or any of my favorite horror characters at DC or at Marvel. Marvel calls and says, hey, that pitch you've been sending us for the Night Stalkers for the past 12 years? Let's do that. Yep, I'm doing it. And I won't even, there's no hesitation. But I'm not going to, I can't spend a lot of time chasing that work right now.
Yeah. Well, you're a busy guy. You're juggling a lot of books, a lot of projects, and you're a family man too. You got the kiddo, the wife, and stuff to do.
I want them to want me.
Yeah. Hey, you want to be there. You want to be their tasty treat.
That's right. There's the thing. I want to be their tasty treat. And that just, sometimes that's not the case.
I get you. Ronan, by the way, popped in saying he loved your Sinestro run. We got Mark saying has a question for you. Is there an element where you approach prose a little differently if you know it's going to be accompanied with illustrations? That's a good question, Mark.
It is a good question because, and in particular, this story that I'm working on that I was having so much trouble with the Six Gun, I know that Brian Hurt's going to be drawing illustrations for that story.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I mean, I can tell you this, Brian has called me several times since, like, tell me what's going on in this short story so I can start getting ideas of what I'm going to draw. So we've gone back and forth over some elements, some things I just simply can't tell you because it has some big spoilers in it right now. But yeah, so I know that there are going to be, in this one in particular, I know I need some big imagery, that something awesome for Brian to draw. So yeah, I write it with that. I'm like, okay, I know, here I come. Here comes the scene I think Brian's going to draw. And then sure enough, he's going to draw something else. But, I always have in my mind, I want, so the short story I'm working on is in 6 like major sections. And in each of those, I kind of, in my mind, I have a couple of big splashy images I think Brian will draw, but I'm not, I don't, at no point in the short story do I stop and write like, Brian, draw this, because that's not how Brian and I work together. So.
Nice. Yeah, and then we got someone else coming in about the old Missouri tarantulas. He said he met one face to face on the Gasconade River. Terrifying. Yeah.
A swimming tarantula? That's the worst thing I've ever heard about.
Yeah, I've only seen like a big wolf spider. Like I've never seen one of the like the brown the Texas brown
Browns. When I moved to and I told the story somewhere on another interview I did, but when I and if you read the excerpt on the Kickstarter, it's a scene where Charlie goes downstairs and there's a bucket downstairs.
Yeah.
And he takes the book off the top of the bucket, and 3 tarantulas are in the bucket and they leap out at him. Well, that happened to me when I moved to Missouri. My younger brother had been here for a few months, and he set a little trap for me down in the basement of our house. He put this bucket with tarantulas in it. And yeah, I came downstairs and there's this bucket making, with weird thumping sounds coming from within. And I take that top off, and tarantula. I thought, oh, kittens. Maybe there's some kittens in this bucket. I don't know what I thought was in there. No, there were spiders as big as kittens that were leaping at me.
They do jump too. Like the spiders that big should not be able to jump. That just should be like against the rules of.
Yeah, I agree.
And they say, like, especially like wolf spiders and stuff, like they say to like just let them be in your house because they'll take care of like other pests and stuff. But it's like man, I'm not as scared of them as I used to be, but they still freak me out a little bit. What scares me is the brown recluse, the little little violin thing on their head and stuff. Like, because I've just seen my buddy got bit on his shin by one, and it looked like someone shot him in the leg.
Oh yeah, you do not. Brown recluse bites are ghastly. They're terrible. So.
And again, it's a poison that like doesn't like why do you need a poison like that just like rots your flesh from the inside out? It's like, well, how does that make your food? Like, I get how some spiders like inject venom and liquefy the insides and slurp them out like a Slurpee, right? But like, no one wants to slurp necrotic flesh. Like, why do you need that? Why do you need that superpower, brown recluse? Like, I don't get it.
Some spiders just want to watch the world burn.
I saw this, like, I don't even remember where I saw it, but if someone was talking about how like one of the most alien things on planet Earth is a spider, because there's not a lot like them, like in the insect world or like there's just like spiders are this just weird entity on planet Earth where like nothing really makes sense of what they're connected to. And so like I don't know, I started getting this idea, and Saga didn't help. Like Saga made me think of this again, but like there's this like alien race of spiders that were like here on Earth and like left a couple, and there's this like there's this spider planet out there somewhere of these like spider people.
We are on a spider planet. Do you have any idea how many spiders there are on Earth?
There's crazy tons of them.
Thank goodness they never organize.
Right? Yeah. Thank God they can't vote. Oh my God.
Once that spider union forms, we're done.
That's the next Crooked Hills novel. Maybe the kids got to fight the spider union in the woods.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time.
Now speaking of, like, I love Crooked Hills, and I think everybody should back it. But I mentioned before, it's these last couple weeks you've had some cool stuff come out. Last week you had the Midnight Show come out from Dark Horse,
Mhm.
which I thought was a really good first issue. Like this idea of this like this lost but cursed monster movie from like an iconic, director, and it finally gets aired, and it's this big deal, and all these horror nerds go see it, and another kind of small town story too, right? And then as the movie is playing, things start coming to life and start like metastasizing from the film reel into reality. And I thought that was a great plot twist. And just like, I like how you took the like horror fan and kind of like con goer kind of deal, right? You like mix this in with like a horror story inside of a comic book. And it all takes place in like I love, my buddy used to work in a movie theater, so like, he worked at AMC for a long time, and so I would get to go like late at night and go to screenings and see stuff for free, and they're fun people work at movie theaters, right? It's just,
Sure.
it's kind of like a different, it's one of those late night jobs, and late night, the late night crowd is usually kind of fun and different, and
Yeah.
so like, and so we got a lot of those kind of characters and a lot of horror nerds and convention type people, and then like press and so yeah, I just kind of really connected with it in a different way. But the art was really good, the writing was really good. It was a very, very strong first issue, I thought.
Yeah, I mean it's a book. I'm reuniting with Brian Hurt from the Six Gun and Bill
Yeah,
Crabtree from the Six Gun, and we just wanted to. It's something that Brian and I have talked about for years. Is this story? Um, it's just intended to be a fun, scary story, and yeah, it wears its influences on its sleeve, especially in the early issues. I feel like you can see the influences, and then we go into some directions I think you that readers won't be expecting.
nice.
Um, but yeah, I love the classic movie monsters, love them,
Mm-hmm.
and this was our chance to tell a story about those kind of characters, and to just have a lot of fun with it.
And
And
there are so many decapitations in that
oh
first
yeah,
issue.
I make fun. I once I saw it illustrated, I remember calling Brian and I was like, man, a lot of people get their head knocked off in this. I mean, this series is gonna knock your block off. I'll tell you that, because
Literally.
there are. I agree. We put a lot of decapitations in this. Um, and to some degree, we wanted to make sure that the reader knew this isn't just this is not a fun, it's not all fun and games. These monsters have some bite.
Yeah.
One of the things I think is interesting about those classic monsters, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the Mummy, is that they seem to have, through the years, people are kind of like, they aren't that scary. They're
Mm-hmm.
not, what can a Dracula do? What can a Dracula do to me? And we wanted to really make those monsters a threat. We wanted to give them, when they appear on the page, we wanted to prove that, oh no, these guys are not messing around. And in many cases, it means someone's got to lose their head.
Yeah.
I can't help that.
I like, there's a moment too in the first issue where like literally what you just said, where this guy, what's Dracula gonna do to me? Like, all you need a steak and some garlic and like some holy water, and then you just get them and then you cut their head. He's like, bring it on, vampire. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I won't say anything else, but that was a great moment. Again, one of those, like you mentioned earlier, like a way to pull humor from the narrative, but it's the dumb humans that got to pull the funny out, right? And then the monster is still very much menacing, very much still a threat, and
Yeah.
and occupies the page in that manner, right?
Yeah, the monsters are never going to be cracking wise or tripping over each other or anything like that. There's moments where the monsters interact and kind of talk smack with each other at some point later in the series, but yeah, they're never played for jokes. Um, And and these monsters have these detailed histories that we will not be able to get into in this initial limited series, because Brian and I have mapped out like a long history of Midnight Studios, of what movies they made, and
Oh,
all
cool.
these different films and things like that. I think there's a depending on, in comics in general, all things depend on readers' response and if the books sell and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, we'd love to tell more stories in the Midnight Show world.
Nice. Well, get out there and buy this book, ladies and gentlemen, because it's good, and I want more
That's
of
what
it.
I'm saying.
Pre-order, add it to your pull, tell your shops. And then let's see what else. What else came out? Ghost Lore came out last week. The volume 1 came out last week with issue 5 releasing on the same day, I think. And that is just, that's just a happy story you got going here, Cullen. It's just like, it is sad. It's very sad and heartbreaking. And but I think those strong emotions make for, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree, like, strong emotions, no matter what the spectrum, make for better horror, right?
Yeah, look, yeah. Again, not I like telling stories with different tones, and yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. Ghost Lore is not the happiest story I've ever written, and I will say, in the second arc, each issue of Ghost Lore has a short story in it done by a
Mhm.
different creative team. And in the second arc, there are some look. There's some humor in there to lighten it up a little bit in some of those
Nice.
short stories. Well, but not really. I mean, it's humorous, but it's still pretty horrifying when it's all said and done. It's Ghost Lore exists in a world that's not about. There's an adventure there, but it's not a fun adventure necessarily.
Okay.
It's kind of uh, it's a story of a dysfunctional father and daughter who are put in this epic supernatural adventure that that they have to face either separately or together.
Yeah, and they both like don't deal with trauma well, right? And have it for days. And just like the mental health, the struggle of faith and stuff, like all these little threads you weave into this narrative that add to this. And then yeah, I love the way it's structured, how they basically like the father and daughter both handle it differently, but they meet these ghosts and basically like they have this ability where they can communicate with the undead, with the ghost, and these ghosts like just want to tell their story, and it's like they get to tell their story and then they get to move on, and so they find themselves in these positions to like listen to the ghosts and kind of set them free. And that's where the other creative teams come in to kind of tell us these other narratives like thrown in. And so it's very much a very cool frame story, and I'm digging it. Like the first 5 issues were great. Volume 1's out right now. It's from Boom. And then midnight shows from Dark Horse, and so yeah, Cullen's just at all the cool indie publishers right now. Everybody putting out great books is putting out a Cullen book, apparently. And
If they know what's good for them.
and to follow that up, one of my other favorite publishers, Mad Cave, this week, Legacy of Violence Volume 2 drops. And
Yes.
that's your very much like high octane horror gore show with Andrea Moody, who's so vibrant and fun and funny, but like just gets
He likes to
crazy on
draw
the page.
he likes to draw the creepy. He likes to elevate the creep factor a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like working with him? Is he
Oh
fun to
yeah,
work with?
yeah. We've worked on several projects together. We're working on a top secret project together right now.
Ooh.
So yeah, we've got Andre and I will continue to work together as long as he'll put up with me, I guess. Yeah, and you're right. He's a sweetheart. He just likes to draw the creepy stuff.
Yeah.
So
He was on the show a while back with Ryan Cady about their image book,
yeah,
and he drew me while we were talking, because I went on a spiel about how like like how people need to read more and stuff, and he drew me with like my hat, and he did like a quick sketch of me. It said like my hat said like reading is cool or something, and I was like, holy shit, Andre just drew me on a live stream. And then I
Nice.
really wanted to ask him to mail it to me, but I was like, no, if he offers, that'd be cool, but I'm not going to be like, mail me this. But yeah, he's still, I screen grabbed it and it's saved in my files. So
That's awesome.
it was a cool, yeah. So getting to talk to him was a blast. And yeah, I very much love you guys working together. You really do bring out some really strong, intense, and like, it's like the best kind of train wreck, right? Because you can't look away from his art, and much like much like Crooked Hills, right? It's just like, even when the issue ends, like if you've got more to read after that, it's like I can't say no to you when you're on the backlog. It's just like, nope, I got one more, and
Yeah, Legacy of Violence just is a weird one because it's one, it's a slasher, but there's no supernatural element to lean on or anything. It's it's pretty much a straight slasher. So when I did that one, that's one of the ones I was kind of like, I don't know what people are going to think of this, but I've been really pleased with the reaction to the book.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah, they brought you back for a second arc, so it had to done something.
Well, they already knew. I mean, Legacy of Violence it's a 12-issue series. It's always been planned at 12 issues.
Okay.
So they had me already. I was already. I'm trying to think. I think I was done writing the entire series by the time the first one came out, or it's pretty close.
Okay.
So yeah, but no, but the reaction has been pretty great for it. So,
what's your favorite niche or what's your favorite like corner of horror to write? Like slasher, possession, monster, like what? Do you have one? Do you have one that like speaks to you more than others?
I don't know. I don't know that one speaks to me more than others. I like all the different flavors, right?
Okay.
And I go through, phases. Right now I think I'm probably more into quiet horror and sort of this meta feeling of this meta approach to some horror fiction. But even though I say that, I'm really into quiet horror, I'm also just wrapped up a series that hasn't been announced yet that's full of chainsaws and gut spewing and car races and explosions and everything else. So that's not quiet. I like all the flavors of horror. I mean, I'm a with Halloween coming up, I'm into fun horror. That's what I like right now. It's not the time I want to watch. It's not the time I want to watch something heavy. I love Hereditary, for instance, as a movie, but
that's heavy as fuck though.
But I'm not going to watch that right now. Not during not during Halloween season. That's a non-Halloween horror movie for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, because see, I'm the opposite. Like, and I watch horror all the time and love it, and read it and watch it and absorb it any way I can. If I could needle it up and shoot it into my veins, I'd be a literal horror junkie. Needles scare me, but you get what I'm saying. But especially now, like I'm always like hunting the horror lists, or like I love, like, TikTok has a really good horror community, and I love it. Like if someone on TikTok is like, this movie messed me up and I had trouble, I'm like, yep, that's what we're watching tomorrow night. And I love to be scared. Like I want to be temporarily traumatized. Like I watched Talk to Me the other night, and it was good. It wasn't.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list for this week.
Nice.
But
it was worth the $6 rental. Like I wasn't mad about renting it, but it wasn't as heavy as because I heard people were like walking out of theaters or and not like walking out like it was bad, but like they couldn't handle it.
Can't take it. Too much.
Yeah. Like when I went and saw Skinamarink with my sister and about to be brother-in-law, and I've never seen so many people walk out of a theater as when I went and saw Skinamarink, and I still don't really know what to think about it, but when I think about it for a long time. So like in that sense, it was very successful, and it did have like a couple moments where like I held my breath and I didn't blink, and I was like legit scared, which I don't think happens a lot. But what sucks is when you get those few moments in an hour and a half long movie, there's a lot of I'd say dead space, but I don't want to be like offensive, but yeah, it just, you can't follow up those intense moments like one after the other, and
You
so
were
like,
like, you were just like, the toilet just disappeared. What
yeah.
happened? They got to use the bathroom. This isn't right.
Yeah, the toilets, that was so weird. But then also like the grain too was like, because like some of the poltergeist stuff and stuff moving around, there was one part where there's like a chair on the ceiling hanging upside down, and my sister didn't see it at first, and so like some of the grain made things harder to see.
Chairs on the ceiling. No one can sit on that. It's
Yeah,
useless.
makes no sense. It doesn't even flow with what's going on in that
You
kitchen.
would fall if you tried to sit there.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was cool in some elements, but my sister didn't like it at all. Like we walked out of there, and my sister was like, "We spent $15 for that," and I was like, and then the more like my brother-in-law and I were talking about it on the way home, and we were like, "Okay, cool." And then I still remember that night, my dog, I was up late, and my dog needed to go out, and so I let him outside, and at the time he was a dick, and he can climb fences and jump over anything, and so like I'd have to go outside with him, and so like I went outside with him, and it's like just around 4 o'clock in the morning. It's very, very dark, and my eyes from that movie, I was still seeing like the film grain. It was like for like 2 days almost, my eyes felt weird after that. But
Yeah.
so I'm out, I'm in this dark yard, and I'm like, Bruce, and I don't hear him, and I don't see him, and this like dread fell over me, and I started thinking of like parts of the movie, or he was like, look under the bed, and I was like, and I was like I got legit scared, and I was like, wow, I was like, okay, like that movie did a good job, and it's now come back to haunt me like later on in the evening. But yeah, anyways, but I'm very much, I love that. I really like being scared. One of the last movies that really got me was and I recommend it all the time, is The Dark and the Wicked. And like it's a couple years old now. It was like a Shudder original, and I remember I watched that by myself with the sound turned up real loud on the surround sound, and I like about 45 minutes into the movie realized I was just holding myself. Like I was like hugging myself, like glued to the screen. And I texted my sister like after the movie, because my sister likes horror stuff too. And I was like, I just watched this movie, and like I don't want to turn the lights out in my room, and I don't really feel safe. And like, and it's like I live for that. Like those are the feelings I want to feel like all like from September to November is
Yeah,
that's
for
how
sure.
I want to feel. So what, like generally, like I know you said like you like the lighter horror for spooky season, but like as on the other side of it, as like a fan or moviegoer, or like the media you experience, like do you have a subgenre you kind of, or do you keep it spread out? Because I know you love slashers. We've talked about that
I
before.
like slashers just fine. Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite necessary subgenre, but I like them. And I don't know if I have a favorite. My favorite horror movies are not my top two favorites are The Thing and Alien. Those are
Okay,
my two favorite horror movies. What I think are what I would go down, and Jaws. I would say those are
nice.
three perfect movies. There's nothing I would
Yeah,
change on any of those three. Um, and yeah, but I'm just I'm really open to any kind of a horror movie. Just right now, I'm not. Like I said, I don't know. Even if it wasn't spooky season, I'm not into any super sort of oppressive, depressing
okay.
movies. It's not what I need. I'll write the depressing stuff in my stories, but for now, and that's not that I'm sworn off of it. It's just what I don't need at the moment.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I like, look, I like everything from, you know, Mandy to, I like, and some of these movies I don't like when I first see them, and then I watch them
they
again and I
grow on
like
you.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mandy and Barbarian and Malignant and I'm trying to think of ones I've like what I would say is like my favorites in
Okay.
recent years.
Malignant had to grow on me. Like I thought Malignant was a better like superhero villain origin story than a
Well,
horror
I guess I
movie.
could see that. I could see that.
But then I said that online and I got mansplained about that weird that like Dario Argento, like there's like this weird subgenre of horror that like that was trying to replicate. And I got mansplained hard. They were like, you just
No, I
don't
don't think
know.
that's necessarily the case either. Look, you feel what you feel from a movie.
Yeah.
I think the thing I liked about *Malignant* so much is it was obviously for me sort of a tribute to the Ghost House Pictures movies of the '90s,
Okay.
and like the House on Haunted Hill and
Yeah.
13 Ghosts
I love
and
13
Ghost Ship.
Ghosts.
It was obviously in that genre because those movies, they don't necessarily make a lot of sense. They're great. I love them, but they don't make
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like, I like, I like everything. I like action horror. I like horror comedy if it's done right. I think that's the one that is the toughest to pull off.
Yeah. It really is.
Um, but yeah,
Unless you're
I'm
Josh
open,
Rubin, you can just live and breathe horror comedy all
right?
like Scare Me and
Yeah,
Werewolf by I love that guy. He's
Werewolves
cool.
Within was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's I'm a fan of all of it. So I don't really there's nothing I can't say that there's a genre like a subgenre I just actively avoid.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Well, I mean, I like that. I very much so like alien and space horror, sci-fi horror is big for me because my dad let me watch Alien when I was really little, and it screwed me up, and I had nightmares, and my mom got all mad. I think my parents might have almost got a divorce over that because
Over Alien,
I was
yeah.
like waking up screaming, thinking this alien was gonna. I was little, Cullen, and but I grew up to like Event Horizon is one of my favorite movies now,
Sure.
just like because it's like that, horror and space and where we're going, you don't need eyes to see, right? And I got the 4K Blu-ray of it coming. I just
Sure.
ordered it, and so I'm really excited to watch that this spooky season. Anyway, um I was raised Catholic, and so like possession flicks are like they sing to me all the like I love them so much, and I love like that like not only like the absence of God, but like how what fills that absence is like pure evil from the depths of hell, and it's like we didn't talk about that shit in Sunday school, and that stuff just gets me, man. Like that stuff's my jam. And so
Yeah,
I'll watch like I never get tired of religious horror, and like I'm kind of pumped for like the new Exorcist. Like I'm kind of intrigued by this. And one of my buddies said it wasn't very good, but it had this one moment in it that made it worth paying for and going to see. And so I was like, okay, that's intriguing. But so I'm pretty stoked for that. And but yeah, I love it. Or like End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like like it's a lot of movies that like people talk like people try to shame, and I'm like, no, like someone tried to tell me Event Horizon was like a B movie, and I was like, you shut your mouth. Like,
there's nothing. First of all, there's nothing wrong with B movies.
that's also true. Yeah.
I don't know that Event Horizon could be considered a B movie, not with that budget that it had.
Yeah, it was a huge budget.
Yeah. But yeah, look, for me, even bad horror movies and horror stories, there's something to like. That I can still enjoy them.
Yeah.
I may not revisit it. I may not, I may not come back to it. The only thing I don't want it to be is bored. I just don't want to be bored. That's the only thing I don't want to be. But
yeah. Well, yeah. Not whoever wants to be bored. Like, well, that's a lie. Like, I sometimes I do like to be boring, but like not when I'm like watching a movie or reading a book. Or, like there's a time and a place to be boring, and not when you're hunting entertainment, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, but that's cool, man. That's what about the kiddo? Do you and the kiddo watch horror? Like, is he into that? or
Oh
any of
yeah,
them?
he likes horror movies. I mean, he really likes the Conjuring universe. Is his sort of that's his
Nice.
jam of the Conjuring movies and all the movies in that universe. Um, we'll watch a couple this year. He's not a horror, necessarily a horror junkie, but he does like those Conjuring movies. And I think last year he was really into. There's a movie called Haunt that's pretty great, and
Okay.
Hellfest. If you're looking for like very
Yeah.
Halloween focused movies, Haunt and Hellfest are really fun.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
he and his friends were getting ready to go to haunted houses, so they came over early and watched Haunt. I think that's
Oh,
pretty
cool.
smart. That's a pretty smart move to watch
Yeah.
Haunt before you go to haunted house.
Yeah. 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 Have you guys seen the Red Door yet? The new Conjuring one?
I have not seen the Red Door.
I haven't either. That's another on my list for the spooky season. The trailer, like, not many horror trailers get me, and that part where he's getting the MRI done and that thing starts crawling up the MRI machine at
Yeah.
him. I was like, nope. I was like, oh man, like I'm like, thinking about it right now has my skin crawling. Like literally, like I'm just like, ugh, like I was like, man, I don't know. I like those movies a lot too. They're fun.
Right.
And I like this idea of like a horror like a horror deal like the Avengers or Marvel, like the MCU, but like this horror universe, right? Like Saw tried to do it, but Saw lost me. Like I tried to stay with it, but I couldn't really hang it. It wasn't long lasting to me. But the Conjuring and Paranormal Activity, I very much will like. I will slut it up for those series if I get the opportunity.
For sure.
Well, Cullen, I've kept you for almost I've kept you over an hour, man, and you're so damn charming and easy to talk to, and I dare I say it, just the tastiest snack in indie horror comics. I'm gonna say it. But again, I'm so excited for this Kickstarter. And I wish you the best of success. And seriously, whether you guys watch this live, thanks for tuning in live, by the way, or if you watch it later, definitely use the link in the comments, use the link that we post and share. Like, check out this Kickstarter. It's a great book. And if you support this campaign and you support Cullen in these endeavors, we're hopefully going to get more of them in the future. And like I said, I want these kids back for more adventures. I want to go back to Crooked Hills many times in the future. And the other books we talked about, like I said, Legacy of Violence comes out this week. Make sure you get the Midnight Show and the Ghost Lore Trade Volume 1 is out there for you right now. And that's just what came out in the last couple of weeks. There's like 50,000 other books that came out earlier this year and are probably going to get announced tomorrow. Like, Cullen is a busy guy.
I got to keep the wheels turning.
Well, real quick, Cullen, like, where's for everybody out there listening, like, where's I know you've got your own Discord channel. I think you're on Substack too now. Like, where's the best places to keep track of you?
Yeah, I mean, I you can get to everything from my website, which is cullenbunn.com. But yeah, I do a weekly newsletter that comes out that is full of information. I think people really dig it. It's completely free. Comes out every Monday. I have a Discord channel that you can, interact with other fans, other readers, and we talk about all sorts of stuff, not just my books. And that's and then, I'm on social media everywhere, just at Cullen Bunn. But the best place, for my website, you can get to all the other stuff. But definitely the newsletter. I have a Patreon if you're really into that kind of stuff, where I post a lot of new material and background information and behind the scenes stuff. So, I'm out there in a number of places.
Do you still do the, like, kind of some on writing lessons and stuff too every now and then on that too?
I sure did.
I thought you did. Nice, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody, like, you all know who Cullen is, or you should. If you watch my channel, you love indie comics and you love comics, you got to know who this man is. And he's just, he never lets you down, and he's always great to talk to. He's always so kind to his fans. Like, I've seen him at a con. I've seen him talk to strangers and talk to friends and he's just good people, and comics need more people like him. And he's a champion of the horror genre and a spooky season superhero. I like, check him out.
Spooky. See now, spooky season superhero I like better than Tasty Treat.
All right, we go. That's cool. As long as I can get you on something, I'll
right.
end on a strong note. Well, Cullen, again, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for hanging out live with us and commenting and asking questions. Remember to love more, hate less, and read comics. And Cullen, unless you got anything else you want to shout out, I'll play the music and set you free, bud.
No, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate everybody joining us, and yeah, thank you for the support on the campaign.
Awesome. Everybody have a great night. We'll be back soon. And check out Crooked Hills because it's awesome. And there's a link to it everywhere. I promise you'll dig it. So go there, back it now. I want that short story. Please do it for me. Do it. I guess do it for Cullen too, but do it for me.
Right.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.